financial markets in turmoil.
What are the root causes of the financial crisis?
The dollar losing value.
Heading for its biggest loss in nearly 3 decades.
Will Social Security even be there?
I don't know.
Buy or rent?
That's a very good question.
Interest rates.
I'm not so sure.
Where do you put your money?
I don't know.
Welcome to the show that answers your questions. This is Follow the Money Weekly with your host, economist, and best-selling author. Here's Jerry Robinson.
Friends, welcome to this week's edition of Follow the Money Weekly Radio. So glad that you're joining us all around the world. As always, you can find us on ftmdaily.com. That stands for followthemoneydaily.com. You can also simply go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/ftmdaily, or you can also find us on YouTube, youtube.com/ftmdaily. We're on all the major social media outlets, and we love to connect with you out there. So we love our listeners, and we have so many of you around the world who tune in each and every week, and it really is such an honor to broadcast to you right here on our website every single Tuesday. Well, every single Tuesday, but last Tuesday, we actually took a break last week. As many of you know, and I don't talk about my personal life too often, but you know, sometimes you just got to spill the beans. But my wife, Jennifer, who many of you have heard on this program before, gave birth to our second baby boy on January the 28th, and it has just been an amazing experience having yet another baby boy in the house. It's just been an absolute amazing gift from God, and I thank you for all of your emails and your prayers and support. He has 10 fingers and 10 toes, so you can't complain about that, right? That's the very first thing I look for. How many fingers and how many toes are on this boy? And it turned out perfect. So, of course, he's a doll, and we do thank you for your prayers and for your kind comments and kind thoughts towards our family in this very special time. But last week I took the week off and had a chance to spend more time with that little precious baby boy. We are back in the saddle this week. And you know what? We have a really big month coming up in the month of March. We're going to be speaking in Orlando, Florida at the Prophecy in the News Summit. Looks like the Orlando Prophecy Summit. And it's going to be March 5th through the 7th. I'll be speaking along with other pretty well-known names. Jonathan Cahn, who wrote the book, The Mystery of the Shemitah. Also, Jerome Corsi from WorldNet Daily, as well as Joseph Farah from WorldNet Daily. Jim Fletcher, Paul McGuire, Thomas Ice, Bill Salas, Don Perkins, who's a dear friend of mine. Just a great handful of individuals who will be speaking at that conference. And so if you're in the Orlando area, I want to sure invite you out to come out and see us, at least come over to our table, shake our hands, and get a chance to say hi. We'll be speaking on two different topics. One, we're going to be talking about what we're going to be talking about today, and that is the 5 levels of financial freedom, but with a bit more detail, of course, at the conference. And then we'll also be talking about 3 lies that every single American Christian believes. And so we're going to be talking about that in another speech. It's going to be a real hard-hitting couple of days in Orlando, so I certainly want to invite you out. If you'd like to find out more information about that, you can go to prophecyinthenews.com, and you can learn all about the speaker lineup and how you can be a part of that. Well, as always, we have Tom Cloud in the bullpen. He'll be here in just a little bit to provide us with an update on what's been happening in the gold and silver markets. And speaking of, if you have had a chance to see our brand new page dedicated to precious metals, it's right there on the front page in the menu, right below the logo. You'll see that there is a button that says Precious Metals in the menu, and if you hover over it, you'll see the gold, silver, palladium, platinum, investor education, current specials. There's just a ton of information there with charts and news and all kinds of good stuff. That's a brand new addition to our website. So precious metals investors, or those of you who like to watch precious metals, be sure to go over to our website and click on the precious metals button. You'll see we've put a lot of hard work into that area there. You also probably noticed we have a brand new chart of the day service that has been going very well. I want to thank everybody for signing up for that. If you're currently an FTM Insider or any kind of paid subscriber, you get that automatically for free. We are offering it for a limited time and also in limited doses, because whenever you sign up as a free member at FTM Daily, we have our FTM Starter Program. You can sign up for free. You can just go to ftmdaily.com/email. When you go there, you'll sign up and you'll get login access. You'll have some free things that you can get access to. Plus, you'll get the last 5 charts of the day at all times. So you'll have that there. So I want to encourage you to check that out if you're not already a subscriber there on our website. Well, today we're going to be talking about the 5 levels of financial freedom, especially in lieu of the fact that on Wednesday, we're going to be hosting a webinar. Now, that is tomorrow, all about how to take your website, if you have one or a blog or whatever, and get it to the front page of Google. You know, back in the old days, I think I've told you this before, but back in the old days, whenever the yellow pages were around, I would advertise my businesses in yellow pages. And I remember some of the outrageous costs that, the phone books would charge. Like a full page ad, for example, in the city of Houston was, tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, I remember one person who had a full-blown full page ad, and I had heard that it cost anywhere between $30,000 and $50,000. It's hard to imagine. That's almost like half of a mortgage or something, for a typical average house. And so you think about that and you think, wow, who paid that kind of money? Well, a lot of people did. And when Google came along, they really changed the face of advertising. And suddenly, if you can get your product or service on the front page of Google for a particular phrase or a particular keyword, you can get a flood of business now without having to spend all that money to the yellow pages and then have to write the check again every single year. So we're going to be diving into this topic of how to take your blog or how to take your website and get it to the front page of Google. And therefore, you can get a lot of traffic. And then, whatever you're trying to do, whether it's affiliate marketing or maybe you have a product or a service that you're wanting to sell, there are so many ways to make money online. And so tomorrow, for all of our FTM insiders, all of our Trigger Trade Pro subscribers, they all get access to my monthly conference call. And we do usually an investment idea and an income idea. Well, tomorrow, we're just going to take the whole session, the whole hour, and we're going to focus on how to make money online and how to get to the top of Google for your particular product, service, website, web page, blog, whatever the case might be. So I want to encourage you, if you're not already a subscriber, but you'd like to be a part of that webinar, simply go to ftmdaily.com/subscribe, and there you'll be able to sign up, become an FTM insider, and then you'll get instructions on how to sign up for that special webinar. And of course, you'll get access to that, plus many of the other webinars we've done. We've done webinars on this topic and many others in the past. And as an insider, you'll have access to the entire archive of webinars. All right, well, today I want to focus on our 5 levels of financial freedom. Now, you've heard us talk about that quite a bit here. If you're new to FTM Daily, maybe you haven't heard me talk about this, but this is a very important topic. It's the topic of how you break free financially. So many people, friends, today, they spend their lives working hard for someone else, and then they don't tend to save enough money. In fact, there was just a report put out on CNBC I saw just a few days ago showing that 1/3 of Americans are on the cusp of their own personal financial crisis. Many people are just one paycheck away from foreclosure or from bankruptcy. Many people are not saving enough, and they certainly don't have multiple streams of income. And we believe here at FTM Daily that the most vital thing that you can do in your financial life is to diversify. And what I mean by that is to diversify not only your investments. We always hear that, don't we? We always hear the experts say, diversify your investments. And that's true. You should. There is great wisdom in that. But typically what that will often infer is that, well, you need to have a little bit of Microsoft and a little bit of Apple and a little bit of Exxon. No, we're not talking about just spreading it out among stocks, right? We're talking about wide asset diversification. So in addition to having wide asset diversification, having some real estate or having some stocks or having a small business or having, a local business that you're investing in or having some other kind of investment that you're invested in addition to that, you want to have diversified savings, right? Many people put all their money into a savings account and it's all in US dollars. Well, we teach the importance of diversifying your savings, and we'll talk about that here in just a moment as well. And then, of course, the third key area to diversify is your income. Your income. I tell you, this is one of the biggest keys and one of the biggest overlooked areas for most people is that they're dependent upon one stream of income, like that job that you have, or like that one particular paycheck that you get from that one company. That is it. And for many people, they are dependent upon one, sometimes two streams of income. And therefore, whenever something happens, when life happens, and they suddenly don't receive that check anymore because either they got laid off or something happens to the company or, whatever happens, suddenly they don't have any income. Or another thing to think about is what happens if you get hurt? What happens if you're laid up on the couch for 6 months? Who's going to pay your bills? Who's going to pay your paycheck if you don't have a plan? And so this is one of the major areas where I think we really help a lot of people, is helping them understand the importance of creating multiple streams of income. So in today's broadcast, we're going to talk about our 5 levels of financial freedom. I'm going to give you a real condensed version. We're going to blaze through them. And of course, I'm going to leave you with a link that you can go to and take your time and go through these 5 levels of financial freedom for yourself and really spend some time getting to know them. Plus, we'll have Tom Cloud after that. But first, let's head over to this quick break.
That was awesome. Yeah. Awesome.
Follow the Money Weekly. We'll be right back.
Are you prepared for the next stock market crash? It's not too late to protect yourself and your family with Jerry Robinson's best-selling book, Bankruptcy of Our Nation, now in a new audiobook format. Whether you want to listen in the car, at the gym, or on your iPad, we've got you covered. Get the entire 300-page book in audio format for only $24.95. That's over 12 hours of Jerry Robinson's economic wisdom, financial insights, and practical money-making strategies for only $24.95. Inside this new audiobook, you'll learn 21 profitable income streams you can create both now and in retirement, along with unique tips on how to inflation-proof your investment portfolio using our own PACE philosophy, and our 5 levels of financial freedom, which is Jerry Robinson's personal blueprint for building true wealth. If your goal is to become a better investor, increase your income, or just understand what is really happening in the global economy, you cannot afford to miss out on the vital information that is jam-packed into this 12-hour audio book. Get instant access to Bankruptcy of Our Nation in audio format right now by going online to www.ftmdaily.com/bankruptcy. That's ftmdaily.com/bankruptcy. Download your copy today and get on the fast track to true wealth and a lifetime of financial security.
Welcome back to Follow the Money Weekly. And here's Jerry Robinson.
All right, friends, welcome back to the program. So glad that you're joining us. My name is Jerry Robinson, your host, your guide, leading you on an excursion to truth right here every single week on Follow the Money Weekly Radio. All right, well, we're going to be talking about our 5 levels of financial freedom. And as I mentioned, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of all 5 levels to give you an idea, especially for those of you who are new, on how you really can break free. There can be light at the end of the tunnel. If you're working a dead-end job, or you're working a job that you don't really want to work, or you are in a situation where you feel hopeless, your finances are a wreck, or maybe you're up to your eyeballs in debt, there really is a way out. It takes wisdom. It takes planning. It takes a devotion to right principles. And here at FTM Daily, that's what we are focused on. I want to start with level 1. And level 1 talks about building an emergency reserve. We're going to go through this level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and then level 5. And everybody starts where, of course, level 1. So level 1, where we begin, is the very first step of building a financial plan that will never break down, is creating a charitable giving plan. I know whenever I give speeches and I've talked about our 5 levels of financial freedom before, many people are surprised to hear about giving at the very beginning of the 5 levels of financial freedom. They would say, well, that's something I'll do later, right? That's something I'll do after I have money. Well, the truth of the matter is that money is the chief competitor for our hearts. It really is, especially if you are a believer. If you are a Christian believer and you know your Bible, you know the fact that money, the love of money especially, is the root of all evil. And by this, what it means is that it really does play a competitive role for our hearts. And it's very easy to fall in love with money. It's very easy to fall in love with the things that money can do for us. But friends, I have known many, many wealthy people over the course of my life and have talked with them, interviewed them, and spent a lot of time with them. And I can tell you this, none of them find great true peace and happiness and solace within their money itself. The money itself is a means to an end. In fact, the most happy people I have ever met are those who truly enjoy giving away either their talents, their giftings, their money, their possessions, whatever the case might be, helping those who are less fortunate, helping those who they can help. And so at the very beginning of level 1, what we want to do is we want to create a charitable giving plan. And on our website, we have this entire form that you can download and fill out. And it's similar to a financial plan. Except what it does is it helps you estimate a goal of how much money you would like to give away over the course of your life. You know, there was one individual I know who had made up his mind that he wanted to give away $1 million over the course of his life. Well, that means that he has to make $1 million in order to achieve that. And that's very inspiring. And I know another individual who we've even had on the program who is a trader. And every single day, he wakes up whenever he trades and he says, the very first $100 that I earn today is going to be given away to someone less fortunate, or given away to a nonprofit organization, or given away to my church, or whatever the case might be. And that means that the first $100 that he makes goes to that purpose. Now, what do you think he's going to do? He's going to earn more than $100 that day, isn't he? Because the first 100 is not even going to be his. And that creates a drive within him to earn more money, and it helps others at the same time. So creating a charitable giving plan, while it may sound counterintuitive to place it at the very beginning, it's actually very positive, because what it does is it properly tunes your mind to prepare you for what you're going to be going through. Many people who set out to become financially prosperous fall in love with money itself. And this is why we place the charitable giving plan at the very beginning. We front load it because we always want to remember, why are we accumulating these assets? Why are we trying to earn more money? Is it just to consume it upon our own lust? Is it just to consume it and just to have more? That's not a good reason. I mean, it may sound like a good reason, but it doesn't make us happy. That's just the truth. That's scientific truth. So creating a charitable giving plan is the very first step of level 1. Now, the next step within level 1 is to create a go bag. This is a 72-hour emergency kit containing all of life's essentials for at least 3 full days in case of a home fire, wicked weather, or some other disaster. You know, if you ever have to get out of Dodge, it's nice to have a go bag right by the front door. In fact, my wife and I keep one in our trunk at all times in our car. And we also keep one in the front door closet right by the front door of the house. So if we ever have to leave, say there's a fire, God forbid, or say that there's a really wicked weather or we have to get out of town or something else goes wrong, well, we can quickly grab that bag and have 3 days of food, 3 days of clothing, and we can have an entire thumb drive with all of our important files on it. So, you know, if you're looking around your house and your house is on fire, God forbid, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to get? Well, the Go Bag has already solved that for you. All of your important documents are all stored on a thumb drive in that bag, along with other things that you might need to survive for 3 days. So step 2 is to create a Go Bag. Step number 3 in level 1 is to create 3 months of food and water supplies. This is very important. And I know over the years, many people have thought that to be alarmist, especially back in the 2000 Y2K crisis. Remember that? It was such a big deal, and everybody was so concerned that everything was going to go down with the computers and all of this, and many people got a bad taste in their mouth for prepping during that time. Well, since then, we've realized that the world is a very dangerous place, and anything can happen. You know, our food supply chains are so precarious, and a terrorist attack on our food supply chain could really damage the integrity of our supply chain for our food at grocery stores and all of this. It's very important to have a little bit of food and water on hand in the event there is such an emergency. So we teach the importance of having 3 months of food and water supplies at all times in level 1. And what we do personally is we buy food that we already enjoy and like, right? We're not going out and buying a lot of boxed or, canned foods that we're never going to eat, things that were completely gross, or freeze-dried food that we don't like. So we're not doing that. Besides, that's usually too expensive. Those are usually kind of luxury items. We focus on the things that we already eat, right? And we just buy more of those, and we keep them stocked in a cool, dry, dark place and just simply rotate through them. So we always have, a good amount of food and water supplies at all times. In level 1, the next step is to build a systematic savings plan. And the ultimate goal here is to build at least 15% of your monthly income going into a savings account every single month. And many people can't start there. Many people can't start by saving 15%, and I realize that. But it's very, very key. There are so many eroding factors on money that if you don't save any money, then you're really going to be in a place where you're going to be in a bad position if something happens, and maybe you lose your job, or maybe something goes wrong and you don't have enough cash to get by. Well, the savings really makes all the difference. And you got to make it systematic. It really does have to be systematic, or otherwise you'll forget to do it. You'll allow yourself to spend all of the money, and then you won't have any money left over. There's an old proverb that says, "In all labor, there is profit." Well, that's not necessarily true if you're not saving any money, right? If you are laboring, but you're not actually putting away any profit, instead you're spending it all, well, then there's no profit left for you. And so you're in essence working for other corporations. You're working for the iPhone company, right? You're working for the cable company. You're working for the natural gas company. You're working for Walmart so you can buy groceries. And you're propping up all of these other corporations by going to get a job, but you're not putting any money away for yourself. And that's not a good idea. So building a systematic savings plan is vital. And then finally, the final step of level 1 is to build 2 months of liquid savings. And this is in essence your gross annual income. So let's say if you make $30,000 per year, well, that breaks down to about $2,500 per month. That means you would need $5,000 in savings by the end of level 1. So $5,000 of liquid savings in the bank by the end of level 1, and then you're ready to move to level 2. Now, level 2 is all about asset, income, and life protection. Now, this can be one of the more boring topics for some people, but for me, it's one of the most important. In fact, it is the most important, because asset, income, and life protection are things that you can never do over. Let's talk about these real quickly. First of all, there's asset protection. These are the things that you own. So your auto, your home, other kinds of liability that you might have, some of the other assets that you have. You want to make sure those are adequately insured. They're properly insured. So asset protection is very key. Income protection is another area that many people don't think about. They often spend more money on insuring their car, which is a depreciating asset, than insuring their income producing ability, right? Which is their most important asset, their most richest asset. And so disability income often can be provided to you through your HR department. You can get short-term or long-term disability. Usually it costs pennies to add it to your benefits at work. If you don't have it at work, you can always buy an individual policy. Also, there's health insurance. Of course, that's really changed over the last several years. It used to be the number one cause of bankruptcy, in the fact that if you didn't have health insurance, you could really be in a bad place. But of course, now with Obamacare, things are a little different. And then, of course, there's long-term care insurance. Those plans are certainly getting more expensive as time goes on, but it's an area that you certainly want to take a look at. And then finally, there's life protection in level 2. And these are things like life insurance, wills, and trusts. If you have small children, or if you're a young family, oftentimes it's easy not to think that you need life insurance, or maybe you don't need a will. Well, I've had so many stories, friends, over the years that I've known people, or back when I was a financial advisor, I would actually have clients where this was a tremendously important thing for them to have. And I've told many stories over the years about some of the different experiences I've had. But life insurance, wills, and trusts, those things should not be overlooked. Let me put it to you this way. You can put money into a 401k and the market can tank 50% and you can recover over time, right? Maybe. You can put money into a bad investment and it can go bad and you can recover from that. You normally have time. But If you don't buy the right kind of life insurance before you pass away, you can't buy it afterwards, can you? You can't die and then go get a will. You can't become disabled and then go buy disability insurance. You can't get into a massive auto wreck and then raise it to full coverage so that you don't have to pay all the excessive amounts of costs that might come along with that wreck. So this area, level 2, has to be perfect. It has to look exactly the way that you would want it in the event that something goes wrong. Now, next we have level 3. Level 3 is all about building and diversifying your financial reserves. So once you've accomplished level 1, you've built a nice emergency reserve. In level 2, you've gone over your asset, income, and life protection to make sure they look proper, make sure you're properly protected. And in level 3, you move into building and diversifying those financial reserves. So what we're going to do there is we're going to build our 2 months of liquid savings up to 6 months of liquid savings. So that's going to take a little bit. In our example earlier, we said that if you make $30,000 per year, then that's approximately $2,500 per month. And so in level 1, you would want to have 2 months, which would be 2,500 times 2, which is 5,000. But in level 3, you want to raise that to 6 months of liquidity. And this is where you're going to keep it at all times from now on until kingdom come, right? You're always going to have 6 months of gross annual income saved. So if you're earning, $30,000 per year, then your goal is to get up to $15,000 of cash and have it saved. Now, many people will say, Jerry, why would you do that? Why would you want to hold all that cash knowing about inflation and knowing about the eroding factors on money? And I absolutely positively agree. That's why we teach something called DSL, Diversified 6-Month Liquid Savings. In essence, what my family and I do is we diversify our 6 months liquidity over 3 different areas. 1/3 goes into US dollars because we need US dollars to transact. The second third goes into stable foreign currencies. And then the third goes into precious metals. And we've conducted studies on this, back testing to show how it actually performs over time. And it almost always beats in the long run, just throwing the money into a CD or to a money market where you're not going to earn hardly anything at all. And actually, you'll lose money in that case because of inflation. And then finally, in level 3, you want to take your 3 months of food and water supply and raise that to 6 months of food and water supply. This will get you prepared in the event that there are some major disasters on the horizon. Now, I've told you before in the past that I moved out of the big city out to the middle of nowhere in northwest Arkansas, specifically because I believe that we're going to see some pretty major trouble ahead. I believe we're going to see riots in the streets. I believe that we're going to see mass chaos here in America. I believe we're going to see a lot of things that none of us ever believed we would see in America. And I felt it was important for me and my family to move out to an area where I could actually farm the ground, where I could actually, have good amount of storage, have some land, be able to raise animals and do what the majority of people have done throughout through the eons, right, through the ages. It's only recently, friends, that we live in these artificial lighted buildings and that we have absolutely no connection to the earth. I mean, this is a very new phenomenon. We have been so stripped of our basic heritage as human beings. We have lost our connection to how to make things. We don't know how to grow food. We don't know how to raise livestock. We don't know how to really make anything. In fact, it's really become quite a society here in America where we specialize in consumption, not production. And so for this reason, I moved out to where I am now, and we are able now to catch rainwater and take that rainwater and water our garden. We have built a massive garden out here with all different kinds of fruits and vegetables. We're raising chickens for eggs and for meat. We have a pond that we're in the process right now of stocking so that we can actually, I'm teaching my 2-year-old boy how to start fishing so he can actually go out and catch dinner for us at night. I mean, just those kinds of things, getting back to the earth, getting back to nature, and remembering that grocery stores don't make food. And that if something really goes wrong, we want to be prepared for that. We want to have a plan B, and that's what this is really all about. All right, so that's level 3. Level 4 is where we really kind of get into the fun stuff. Many people usually start here. When you think of financial planning, most people pass everything that I just said, and they say, yeah, we'll do that later. Let's focus on putting money in stocks, right? I remember whenever I was working my very first job as it was a sales job, and I was making good money. And actually, I say my first job is my first corporate job. And what was I told by the HR department? Max out your 401k. What was I told by the Dave Ramseys of the world? Max out your 401k. Well, I had no business maxing out my 401k whenever I was a young guy. I mean, I had a house to buy. I had furniture to put in that house. I had to buy a car. I had to maintain a car. I had to maintain a house. I had all kinds of things to do. And of course, I was being told to put all my money that I possibly could into the stock market, which, it just doesn't make any sense. Many people put the cart before the horse. So when it comes to investing, we approach it somewhat differently. We want to make sure that we have our 6 months liquidity, we have our 6 months of food and water, we have a charitable giving plan, we have all of our asset income and life protection all figured out. Once we have all of that in place, then it's time to start talking about building and diversifying investments. Now, we talked about this earlier, but in level 4, the key thing is to invest broadly across various asset classes. Now, I have become a big fan of real estate over the years. It's one of my favorite areas to invest in. So real estate is big. I also like to invest in small businesses. We've had a guy on before on the program talking about investing locally, investing in local businesses. I love to invest in local businesses. I like to invest in the internet. I like to build internet websites and do affiliate marketing. In fact, we're going to be talking about that, as I mentioned, on an upcoming webinar. But so many people tend to think of investing as simply taking money, throwing it in the stock market, giving it to a stockbroker, and then saying, here, you make money for me. Well, it just doesn't work that way. That's not a very good way. And that's why many people end up broke at the end of their lives, because they have not really had a plan. You've got to have velocity on your money. You've got to always have your money making money. And so it's important to find income-producing assets that you can put your money into that will grow. That way you can have a nice financial life and then have a nice retirement as well. Now, if you want to overcome inflation, which I believe is still going to be a problem in the future, we talk about something called PACE, P-A-C-E, precious metals, agriculture, commodities, and energy. And those are 4 areas that you really can focus on if you're worried about inflation in the future. And that's why I do love gold and silver personally for my own financial plan, because I do believe that all of the money that has been created is going to eventually lead to very high inflation, which is going to drive up precious metals prices. I'm also a big fan of commodities. I like to trade commodities and energy as well. Energy is currently very low right now. Oil prices have been hit pretty hard, but in the long run, I believe we're going to have higher than normal energy prices due to increasing demand and limited supply and diminishing supplies. It's always important to avoid overweighting in any one area, and the reason is because the rules of the game can change. So because I like real estate doesn't mean that I should go put 100% of my money in real estate, even though I know people who do that. And I would encourage people not to do that because, again, the rules of the game can change. And who makes the rules? The federal government. The federal government, through the Federal Income Tax Code, can make a rule change that can really ruin your investments if you're overweighted in the wrong area at the time. I love to trade cash for cash flow whenever possible. That's another key thing that I like to do. So I like to take my cash and, again, not just plop it into to a pool of assets and just hope it goes up, but instead to take that cash and to trade it for ongoing cash flow. So anytime I can do that, I look to trade cash for cash flow. And finally, I love to create multiple streams of income. This is how you create financial freedom, friends. You can only save so much, right? You can only cut your expenses so much. You can only pay your debt off to zero. The only way to really drive up your income permanently is to create multiple streams of income. So income diversification is vital. And that's one of the things we teach our FTM insiders in our Income University, where we have 22 different income streams that you can create both now and in retirement. Whether you have money or whether you just have time, there are plenty of different ways for you to drive up your income, and that is exactly what's going to get you ahead over the long haul. And then finally, level 5, which is advanced investing and speculative investing. This is where you get to be whenever you have done all of these things. You've got yourself all the way here now to level 5. And this is where you get to open your own business or expand your business. This is where you get to get involved in stock and option trading, or maybe venture capital, taking some money and loaning it to local businesses or people who need money, and then actually earning a nice, handsome profit along the way. Real estate strategies, wholesaling real estate, buying and flipping real estate, buying rental properties. This is the life of an investor, and this is where you can end up, and this is where you become financially free. But in order to get there, you've got to go the right way. You can't put the cart before the horse. Many people try to start off on level 5, and they find out that their whole plan gets blown up because they didn't have a good foundation laid. Too many people approach financial planning completely backwards, and that's why I think our 5 levels of financial freedom is so relevant today. Now, if you want to learn more about our 5 levels of financial freedom, it's very simple. You just go on to ftmdaily.com/5 levels. You can spell out the word 5, F-I-V-E, levels. And you'll be able to go through each of the levels there with articles, videos, tutorials, the whole 9 yards, and it'll help you begin to create that plan. And you can go along, and if you have questions, feel free to contact us. You can send us an email at info@ftmdaily.com. Our whole goal here, friends, is to educate you and help you to break free financially so that you can be a blessing to other people and so that you can fulfill the callings that have been placed upon your life. Many of you listening to me have great, mighty things that you've been called to do. Maybe deep down you're a musician, or maybe deep down you are a missionary, or maybe deep down you're a doctor. But you can never achieve those things because you are stuck in a cycle of debt. You're stuck in the consumption trap. You have been sold a bill of goods that's not true, and now you're working a job that you hate, or you're working a job that you don't feel called to, and you want to transform your life. You can. You really can, but you've got to have a strategy. You've got to have a plan. And our 5 levels of financial freedom have helped multitudes of people over the years, and I know that it can help you. So I encourage you to go over to ftmdaily.com/5 levels and start with level 1 and start comparing your notes. Start comparing what you're currently doing and check and see, and you may find out that you're already in level 4 and you don't have to do anything else and you just keep moving to level 5. Or you may think that you're in level 4, but you may find out that you're in level 1 because you don't have a go bag and you don't have a charitable giving plan and you don't have any food and water saved up. Well, these are the things, it's like a big checklist. These are the things for you to go through and take a look at and see how you can improve your financial life. So head over now, ftmdaily.com/5 levels, and take control of your financial future.
I woke up this morning, get around for my shoes. Everybody got this, whoa, walking to work. Up this morning, get around for my shoes.
Follow the Money Weekly presents your precious metals market update. Here's Tom Cloud.
All the calls coming in, everything concerned is about what's going on in Greece. And certainly we've seen the can kicked forward over the weekend as they've kicked the can down the road 4 months and agreed on an agreement that they've asked Greece to come in, and the 2 key things they asked them to do was to improve the economy and put a lid on their debt. Now, I mean, what a joke is that? That'd be like coming to the United States and telling us in 1 month that we're running billions of dollars of deficits per month, and we're supposed to just stop, or they're not going to loan us money anymore. So first of all, you can know that's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. In 4 months from now, they'll have to borrow more money, and they'll keep on, but it'll keep the euro from crashing and Greece leaving the European Union. So that is almost a non-event. But this is also another very important week because we have Janet Yellen testifying, the head of the Federal Reserve, testifying before Congress about the economy. Now, this is different than the monthly meetings when she comes out and makes a 15-minute statement. Then we have to wait a month to get the FOMC meeting notes to find out what was really said in detail. This will be instantly on the 24th on C-SPAN. But the way the markets are moving on Monday as I record this is there must be already something out of the bag that she's going to be more dovish than we thought. In other words, the stock market is down strong and gold is up, which is exactly the opposite of what you would have thought would happen when they kicked the can down the road in Greece. The other trump card, of course, that we talked about last week will be this coming Saturday, the 28th, when India votes to take the tax from 10% down to 2% on the importation of the precious metals. So this will be a very important week for that, and there's millions and billions of dollars laying on the sidelines that want to buy gold and silver, but they want the taxation to come down. And then the other factor is China has missed 5 trading days of metals as they've been celebrating the Lunar New Year in China, and they go back to trading on Wednesday, and you can look for a lot of demand in the gold and silver market later in the week. So if we're going to get a drop, it should be on Tuesday, day after I record this, and even into Wednesday morning, and then we should see strong support in the gold and silver as the week wears on. As I look at my notes here, I just want to mention that we've also seen an all-time high in gold and the euro. Just like we've talked about what happened in the U.S. between 2000 and 2012, the dollar was going down and gold was going up in dollars. And then the last 2 years, we've seen gold go down in dollars, but up in the euro, the yen, and English pound, and all the other currencies, Canadian dollar, Australian dollar. So we're seeing the flip side of it. But this is good whether you know it or not. Just because you see your gold going down in dollars is not a bad thing, because more gold is being taken off the market as we continue to squeeze these people that are buying gold in derivatives and not buying it in physical possession. So we're going to continue to see that tighten up. So this will be a great week to watch. Next week we'll have a lot of answers to these questions that have gone on this week, and we'll stay there. But one thing I can tell you is gold is getting tighter and tighter in Europe. As I talk to my sources I've known for 25 plus years, and we're seeing a run and delays much longer than the U.S. This is still the cheapest place with the lowest premiums to buy gold in the world right now is in the United States. So there'll be a time in the near future where you'll see premiums going up in gold and silver and delays in getting them. We already still have a few short delays in some of the metals right now. For any of you that need to ask me any questions, you can reach me at 800-247-2812. That's 800-247-2812. And if you're not getting our email blast, we don't share your information with anyone. I send out 1 or 2, 3 email blasts a week to keep you updated on prices and movements. And you can sign up for that by going to FTM Daily /gold or FTM Daily and hit the precious metals button and sign up and just tell us you heard about us through FTM Daily, and you'll never pay any shipping. We'll always pay all the shipping and insurance. So hopefully next week we'll have a lot to look forward to. A lot of things happening this week, but we're recording this earlier in the week before we know what's actually going to be said. With this week's Precious Metals Market Update, this is Tom Cloud signing out.
Hey friends, this is Jerry Robinson from Follow the Money Weekly. Recently, we have been receiving many emails from our listeners commenting on the great help they're getting from our precious metals expert, Tom Cloud. Gold and silver are excellent hedges against the growing threat of coming U.S. inflation. Who's your gold guy? Make it Tom Cloud. With over 30 years' experience with precious metals, Tom will answer all of your questions. Don't buy your gold and silver through some call center and pay inflated prices. Call my good friend Tom Cloud and speak directly with him and get all of your questions answered. For a limited time, Tom is offering free shipping and insurance on every gold and silver purchase made by our listeners. Call 800-247-2812. 2812. And when you do, tell him that Jerry Robinson from Follow the Money Weekly sent you, and he'll throw in that free shipping and insurance on your entire order. Call your gold guy, Tom Cloud, right now for the very best deals on gold and silver coins. 800-247-2812. That is 800-247-2812.
The stock market can be a scary place, especially when volatility strikes. The best investors know that the only way to avoid losing their nest eggs in the next stock market collapse requires a system. Here at FTM Daily, we have created such a system, known simply as the Market Barometer. Our exclusive stock market indicator system warned investors just prior to the massive stock market crash of 2008, saving them thousands of dollars in potential market losses. Later, it issued a buy signal in 2009, allowing smart investors to get back into the market as prices marched higher. If you have money in the stock market, you need a time-tested system to help you avoid the worst downturns and alert you to the best upturns. The Market Barometer, created by Christian economist Jerry Robinson, is a simple red, yellow, and green light system. Anytime the stock market trend changes, you'll receive a simple alert by email. And when you subscribe, you will also receive instant login access to view our alert archives, as well as other special investing resources, including exclusive videos with veteran investor Jerry Robinson. Don't let the next market collapse catch you off guard. Get 1 year of access to our powerful Market Barometer system for only $49. Get more details and lock in this special low price today at marketbarometer.org. That's www.marketbarometer.org.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Here we go.
contact us anytime through our website at ftmdaily.com. And now more Follow the Money with Jerry Robinson.
I love it.
Well, Janet Yellen, the Federal Reserve Chairman, headed over to the Hill this week on Tuesday to testify before Congress about what her plans were as far as interest rates. No doubt about it, the folks on Capitol Hill wanted to know when the Fed was planning on raising interest rates, and they wanted to know if the Fed was going to provide more transparency on its actions. And we have a real quick clip here of kind of the gist of what Yellen said. Pay real close attention to the word patient, because again, this is the key phrase that many of the Fed governors have been debating. Many of them did not want Janet Yellen to use that word in regard to interest rates because they don't think that interest rates need to stay lower for much longer. And they wanted Yellen to stop using the word patient because it's giving the market this idea that rates may be lower for a much longer period of time. So I'll play this real quick clip, a little montage of what she had to say. Roll the tape.
In that regard, the committee judged in December and January that it can be patient in beginning to raise the federal funds rate. This judgment reflects the fact that inflation continues to run well below the committee's 2% objective and that room for sustainable improvements in labor market conditions still remains. The FOMC's assessment that it can be patient in beginning to normalize policy means that the committee considers it unlikely that economic conditions will warrant an increase in the target range for the federal funds rate for at least the next couple of FOMC meetings. If economic conditions continue to improve, as the committee anticipates, the committee will at some point begin considering an increase in the target range for the federal funds rate on a meeting-by-meeting basis. Before then, the committee will change its forward guidance.
So no doubt about it, after Yellen testified, the markets liked what they heard, began to rise a little bit in the wake of that. But I am going to be giving you a very big announcement next week about the stock market and about my own personal investments. I'm making some pretty radical shifts right now. You've probably seen in the news that George Soros and Warren Buffett have begun to sell out of U.S. stocks. Many other top hedge fund managers are beginning to sell out of U.S. stocks. And our market barometer, which actually gauges the market overall, has not given us any kind of red alert yet. However, I'm going to tell you something next week that is a pretty big news, and it'll be on this broadcast. I'm going to fill you in and talk about some of the things that I'm going to be focused on in 2015. It'll be a real instructive program, so be sure to tune in. And speaking of tuning in, I sure would appreciate it this year, friends, if you would help us spread the word about Follow the Money Weekly. You know, we have been broadcasting now since 2010, providing you with great information, investing information, income information. We've had great guests over the years. In fact, we have a lot of great guests coming up the rest of this year, some really big names. But, you know, would you help us? Would you help us by spreading the word about our podcast, spreading the word about our website? Help us reach out to more people and help us help other people. You can do that by simply going on to Facebook and sharing our link, or maybe sharing this podcast by email with one of your friends or family members who you think might benefit from it. And be sure to follow us on social media. Go over to ftmdaily.com. You can find our social media links there. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. We really appreciate you helping us spread the word as we try to challenge people out there to really take control of their financial lives, especially considering the great storm that we see coming on the financial horizon. Well, friends, that brings us to the end of our program. Thank you so much for choosing to allow us into your life each and every week right here on this broadcast. And as always, I leave you with this final word, this time by Danish theologian Soren Kierkegaard, who lived from 1813 to 1855, a very brief life, but left an immense treasure trove of writings. And here's one such sentence that makes a lot of sense. When he said, "The most common form of despair is not being who you really are." That's just something to think about. Remember, friends, when you want the truth, just follow the money. Have a safe and prosperous week, and I'll see you right back here next Tuesday. Until then, God bless.
All of the information contained on the Follow the Money podcast is strictly for informational and educational purposes. It should not be construed as specific investment advice. The views and opinions of our guests and sponsors, including Tom Cloud and Thomas Cloud Jr., are their own and do not necessarily represent the views of ftmdaily.com or Robinson Media Group, LLC. Thomas Cloud Jr. owns 11-2 Fund Management Incorporated, a registered investment advisor. Jerry Robinson does hold an insurance license and at times may offer consulting on life insurance and fixed retirement income products. Follow-up, individualized responses to email or phone requests that involve the rendering of personalized investment advice for compensation will not be made absent compliance with state investment advisor registration requirements or an applicable exemption or exclusion and applicable insurance regulations. Past performance is not indicative of future results. You should be aware of the real risk of loss in following any strategy or investment discussed on the podcast. Remember, never do your financial planning through podcast or radio. It's your money. Be wise. Do your due diligence.